Yo, everyone. I'm Kenny Scott, co-founder and CEO of Paramify, which is a risk solution software company. I'm getting close to almost 2 decades of experience performing controls and risk assessments for diverse companies of all sizes, and I've learned a thing or two about this process. So today, I'm excited to share my approach to dissecting elements of controls assessments and guide you on where to direct your efforts for substantial improvements in your own assessments. In this training, we're welcoming absolute noobs and seasoned pros alike. It would be beneficial if you have a basic understanding of risks and controls and some familiarity with the governance, risk, and compliance profession, also known as GRC. Look for my other trainings in these areas if you want to take a deep dive there. So let's get started. In controls assessments, we navigate 3 critical phases. First, we pinpoint the inherent risks in a given environment and strategize our measurement approach. Let's take an example from your own environment. Consider physical security. This may or may not be a critical risk area for you. If so, in a controls assessment, we should get a good understanding of the controls that exist and walk through their design. Here we question, are there any obvious gaps? If so, there may be more or less work to do in the assessment. Probably more. Then we scrutinize the operating effectiveness of implemented controls. Here, we're simply executing our plan and noting our findings as we evaluate each in-scope control. Today, there are numerous tools that can help you automate the evaluation of certain controls. So, how cool is that? Automation. Lastly, we synthesize our findings and propose recommendations in the reporting phase, all to ensure we manage risk while aligning with the organization's objectives. Oftentimes, we forget that people actually read these deliverables, so we want to make sure that we're addressing the correct risks and controls completely and accurately. In the next segment, we'll talk about how to factor in a budget for all 3 phases. Taking inspiration from Ray Dalio, remember, we can strive to have almost anything we want in life, but we can't have everything we want. This principle holds true in controls assessment. With limited time and resources, we must smartly allocate to fit within a defined budget. The planning, assessing, and reporting. Each phase demands its share, and striking the right balance is key. In the next section, we'll hone in on the controls assessment planning phase. In the control assessment planning phase, it's crucial to start right. Much like a math equation, missteps at the very beginning lead to missed targets and wrong answers later on, no matter our hopes to the contrary. Often poor planning leads to assessing inconsequential areas, wasting resources and time on trivial matters. For instance, during a cybersecurity control assessment, you might invest considerable time scrutinizing rogue Wi-Fi access points, perhaps ones used only in conference rooms. It's like going on a treasure hunt and finding, well, just more sand. Quite the anticlimax, right? And there goes your time disappearing faster than free donuts in an office break room. By the reporting phase, we may find critical risks have been overlooked. If you are responsible for those control assessment oversights, those conversations with your VP of risk will be uncomfortable. We're still your customer's VP of risk. Those conversations are going to be tough. Not that I've ever had any such experience. Don't ask. Ultimately, those mistakes will force an unwelcome revisit of the assessment and reporting phases, placing undue strain on the budget and likely, well, blowing that budget up. Therefore, it's vital to accurately prioritize from the outset. And I found that there are 3 crucial elements to a successful planning phase in controls assessment. 1, the value of experienced guidance can't be understated. Experienced professionals can anticipate challenges and navigate through potential pitfalls. They know where the quicksand is. Second, a finely tuned scope ensures we focus on the important and eliminating unnecessary concerns. Finally, we need to embrace the principle of many hands make a burden light. Use intuitive tools that bring in experts from related areas. The people who actually know what's going on. This way, we can better understand how different department roles can change the risk in a certain area. Getting these 3 areas right sets your assessment on the right path from the start. The assessment phase then simply becomes about execution. In fields like cybersecurity, numerous excellent tools can automate parts of your assessments. If these tools are closely aligned with planning, I'm telling you, then the reporting phase can become extremely efficient. And that's what we'll talk about in the next segment. The final phase in a controls assessment is reporting. This is where we communicate findings and provide recommendations based on our assessment. However, the complexity of today's compliance environment can turn this into a Herculean task. GRC professionals often have to prepare extensive reports, sometimes thousands of pages long. Can you freaking believe that? Without a concrete plan, this can easily lead to overwhelming fatigue, from endless copy pasting and formatting to the eventual rage quit. I'm serious. I was just talking to a GRC leader in the space, and he said that about 80% of his team's attrition was due to burnout from manual documentation in controls assessments. And when reporting can consume over 60% of the controls assessment budget, it becomes a huge problem. And it threatens to shatter your risk assessment budget, your controls assessment budget, and you might not have the outcome you want. So, what makes an effective reporting phase? First, embrace the principle of document once and use it many times. Second, distribute the responsibility of documentation among subject matter experts in various risk areas. These are the people who actually know what's going on in DevOps, in HR, in IT, wherever it is. You need them. They have the expertise. They should contribute. Last, base your reports on a common language like OSCAL, paving the way for automated reporting. This is so cool. Imagine being able to reduce your budget for reporting from over 60% to maybe just 10% or even 6%. That frees you up to focus on the most critical element of controls assessment, and that's evaluating the design and operating effectiveness of controls. Remember, each phase in controls assessment, the planning, assessment, and reporting, is intrinsically tied to the others. Overlooking one could compromise the entire process. So that wraps up this video on the elements of controls assessment, and I thoroughly enjoyed sharing this information with you. If you found this useful, please like and share. Follow me on social media and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much. Ciao, my friends.